Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Andy, and the prime directive of my life is to increase the quality of my consciousness and to help others do the same. And today I wanted to chat with you guys for a little bit here about some very important topics, important foundational topics to have in your mind if you're embarking on the journey of personal development and becoming the best version of yourself. And so, just getting right into it, the concept that I wanted to be talking to you about today is called ego backlash. And this is something that no person who is on the journey of being their best self, you're not going to be, every person on this journey, you're not going to be able to avoid ego backlash. Now, what is ego backlash? Ego backlash is the idea that when you are beginning to work on yourself and beginning to improve your life in whatever area that you've decided, maybe you set up your new habits and your new routines, and you have a few days of kicking ass, and you have a few days of checking things off the list, and you're feeling good. Inevitably, what's going to happen is your ego is going to pop up in some way and throw you off and try to keep you where you're at, try to prevent you from going further along the journey of being your best self and working on all of the areas of your life that you feel need to be worked on. And this ego backlash can manifest itself into many different areas of our life. For instance, when you are on a couple day streak, taking care of your habits, taking care of your to-do list, again, the to-do list that is nourishing mind, body, and spirit, like we talked about in yesterday's video. If you have a couple days where you're taking care of your routine and it's filling your cup and you're nourished, inevitably what's going to happen is there's going to be something that pops up that will almost put you at a fork in the road and force you to go back almost a few steps. It's like the concept of I take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. And without understanding the concept of ego backlash, when you take those 2 steps forward and you're not aware of the ego backlash, it can be not just 3 steps back. It can be like 10, 15, 20 steps back because you're unaware of this mechanic that your mind is using to try and keep you where you're at. And a great way for you to really start to understand this, maybe I guess using a different concept, is the idea of homeostasis. This sounds like some science nerd word, whatever labels you want to assign to it, but the term homeostasis essentially is the process that our body uses to maintain its internal temperature and functions, and it basically makes sure that everything is running behind the scenes when we are just going throughout our day. It's what allows you to breathe. It's what allows your heart to beat. It's what allows the blood to flow. All of these things, the internal temperature in your body, this is called homeostasis. And this idea of homeostasis, the ego loves it. Once the ego gets comfortable running the show a certain way for so long, and you try to switch that up, and you try to put new software, new operating systems in place, new habits, all these things that switch up the ego's homeostasis or force the ego to be outside of that comfort zone, you're going to run into the ego backlash, and it's going to be painful. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a struggle to understand what's going on. Why can't I ever maintain? Why can't I stay consistent? Why does it always feel like something pops up to throw me off? Why does it always feel like I'm in a position where everything else in my life is pulling me? And why can't I focus on the stuff that really is needing to be focused on? These are just some of the questions that people like myself and others have found themselves asking after experiencing a pretty gnarly ego backlash. And if you don't understand the process that your ego goes through when you're on the journey of growing and being the best version of yourself, without understanding this, I'm telling you guys, it just becomes so much more difficult to stack the wins, right? Because it always feels like you're getting knocked back down multiple steps, even though you just made a couple strides. And that's what this whole process of ego backlash and understanding homeostasis and being able to implement and embody that into your daily activities, and not just your daily activities, but wiring that in to your daily awareness. If you have an awareness on a day-to-day basis of some of the ways in which, not all the ways obviously, but some of the ways in which your ego is pulling the strings, calling the shots, just by shining the light of your awareness on this, you'll be able to start taking control back. And instead of reacting to things, you'll be able to respond. And so when you get to a place where you're experiencing ego backlash and you're no longer reacting, you're responding, the actions that follow are so much different. What I mean by this is, if you're just in reaction mode, like knee-jerk reaction mode, and you experience ego backlash, it might end up in you ruining a relationship, or losing a job, or tarnishing a relationship with siblings, parents, spouses, kids. If you don't understand that you trying to be a better version of yourself will result in the mind trying to sabotage it, you're gonna run into that quite a bit. And so, all of this to say, this is going to be a shorter video today. I didn't have too much to talk about. I just know that this concept of ego backlash is so important to understand if you're trying to be the best version of yourself, because regardless of what you do in your life to try and be a better version of you, you're going to run into this. And not having a proper understanding of this is going to result in a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. But it's avoidable, not all avoidable, because it's life. But by understanding this concept and understanding how the ego mind works to try and keep you where you're at, to try and stop you from growing into the best version of yourself, you're going to have a lot easier time going through the ebbs and the flows of life. Like there's no ups without the downs, right? And so you could equate some of these ego backlash moments to some of the ebbs when things are low, because what's being presented is not only is it ego backlash, but another way you could look at this is a test from God to prove, all right, this guy or this girl says that they want to be a better version of themselves. They say they want to improve. They say they want to implement all these new habits. And I see them, and they've been kicking ass for a few days. They've checked their to-do list off. They're nourishing their mind, body, and spirit. All right, bet. So let's throw a little test their way. Let's see how committed they are to this new version of themselves. And so, it's always something convenient. Convenient enough for you to be like, all right, I'll just put this routine on hold for today, or I'll just put these things on hold just for a few days so I can focus in on this other stuff, or it'll pop up, quote unquote, very important things in your mind that you need to take care of, that take priority over this new version of you, these new habits, these new activities that you're trying to take care of every day that fill your cup and give you the energy you need to take on whatever comes your way. The ego is very crafty. The ego will convince you. It still convinces me to this day. And that's why I struggle with consistency personally, something I'm working on. A little bit of transparency there. But regardless, I said I didn't want to make this video too long, and I'm almost 3 minutes past that point. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave you guys with this. Don't pull the emergency ripcord just because you're going through something small in the grand scheme of things. This ego backlash is going to pop up. All of these situations and scenarios in your life that are going to call for you to pull the ripcord. Don't be afraid. Keep going. Keep pushing. The greatest version of you is right on the inside of who you are right now. All you have to do is dig away some of that, scrape away some of that, and you just might find yourself in a position where you never thought you could be. That's all I got today, guys. Have a blessed day, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.